welcome to another episode of Dolly Bauchery's super creepy horror show here from the Dollhouse. I'm your host, Dolly83, and today's episode, I'm actually going to kind of highlight a few films that I've seen on Netflix over the past several months, actually. In fact, one of them is now actually an honorable mention because it's no longer streaming on Netflix. But these are really good horror films, diamonds in the rough, that I just happened upon during bouts of insomnia. Even though Danny gives me my homework, I'm supposed to be brushing up on more of the Berlantiverse, which I love those shows. But my passion for horror sometimes gets the better of me, and I'll watch through a few episodes of Arrow or something, and then I'll be like, okay, now I need to take a little bit of a horror break, and I will flip through Netflix and look for something that sounds interesting. This is just a really, I've watched a lot of films on Netflix, but these are some of the more notable ones that really stood out to me. Now, there were several really good ones that I've seen, but I've got 8 films here, my top 7 that are still streaming on Netflix, as well as the honorable mention. I'll start from 8 and work my way down. These are just films that really surprised me. I think we've kind of gotten to this place in the horror industry where films just were becoming, the ones at theaters were just becoming really disappointing. It just kind of felt like nobody was trying anymore, and just like, I don't know, just... There for a while, I was very disappointed. Here recently, things have picked up. I remember the last film that I saw, I didn't even see it in theaters. I was going to see it in theaters, but I ended up not being able to, so I waited until it came out on demand, and I purchased the film because that was the only option. It was The Darkness, the one with Kevin Bacon. That film was not only a waste of my money, but it was so bad. It was so bad. I'm going to be honest when I'm telling you guys what movies you should watch and what movies I would pass on. If you haven't seen that one yet, don't bother with it. It had so much promise and hope to be done so well, and it just wasn't. So, yeah. Anyways, that's going a little bit off of the topic here, but I digress. My top 8... top 7, and one you need to go look for because it really was that good. I wasn't expecting much from it because of the rating it got. That's why I always say with the star ratings with Netflix, take them, by a grain of salt. Because you have to think, these are based on opinions of not just your peers, but some people, horror's not their thing, and they watch a film and they're like, yeah, that was stupid, or, whatever. And these are standalone films, if that matters. Like, I will be doing an episode on the VHS trilogy. I don't have that on here, because it's a trilogy, but I will say I will be doing an episode on that because I loved VHS. Anyways, coming back to bringing ADD Anna back to where she's supposed to be at. Starting with number 8. This film is called The Ward, and it's your classic woman gets committed to a women's facility for mental health reasons, and she ends up meeting other women there. During, of course, this time, patients are being murdered, and they're trying to figure out who's killing these women. You'll find I enjoy twists. This one had one hell of a twist. Let me just, yeah, my phone is, yeah. Anyways, my husband who's currently deployed, is messaging me because our hours are completely... I stay up all night, though, so he knows that. But anyways, it's just, it got an incredible twist. You will not see the twist coming with this. A big point for me, I don't like to spoil films, because I really want people to watch them. Even the bad ones. If you really are hung up on it, go watch it. Excuse me. But, with this film, when you start kind of realizing, you'll kind of start seeing the twist, but when it happens, it's a really good film, and I'm big on pacing. It's really well paced, but other than that, it's just, it takes that classic people housed in a facility that they cannot get out of type scenario. There's a killer locked in here with us who's taking us out. Who is it? Once you find out who the killer is, it's pretty cool how everything kind of goes together with this film. So that is called The Ward. And that is one you definitely need to check out. That's my honorable mention because it is no longer, I double checked, it's no longer streaming on Netflix, but go look for it. I imagine, check Hulu, check Amazon. It's probably going to be on Amazon. You'll find it. It's a really, really well-made film, and it's a really fun film, and the twist at the end, it's a what the fuck. I mean, it's just, when you realize the twist, you're like, oh, wow, that's, but everything that makes sense. Everything in the film makes, because there's going to be parts where, like, that doesn't make any sense. Why'd they do that? After you find out what's going on, everything makes sense. Perfect sense. So again, that's The Ward. That's my number 8 honorable mention. Number 7. This is one I did not expect much from at all. Not only because of the rating it got, but too because of the picture that they have, for the films. When you look at the picture and you're like, oh, that looks crappy. This film's going to be crappy. The film was not. It was campy. But you can enjoy campy. Campy anthology horror. It's an anthology film. It's called Tales of Halloween. Honestly. Friday the 13th, super campy. And not just because it was at a camp. Pun. Accidental puns. I'm full of them. Anyways, this film, it's called Tales of Halloween. And I could have sworn I saw one of my favorite horror directors actually have a cameo as a police officer in it. Adam Green, who he's the man who created Hatchet, as well as the movie Frozen, not the one with the sweet little talking snowman, but the one where the wolves eat the people. And also, I was actually introduced to Adam Green through his TV show Holliston when it was on FearNet. Goodbye, FearNet. We miss you. I loved FearNet. But anyways, when it was on TV, now of course you can still watch stuff with FearNet on internet, but anyways, I digress. Yeah, I thought I saw him in a cameo. There goes my computer again. However, okay, Tales of Halloween. It's reminiscent of Trick or Treat. If you haven't seen Trick or Treat and you're a horror fan, you need to step up your game because Trick or Treat is amazing. It's horror. Those horror anthology films are the ones that I really have a lot of fun with, where it's, when they all tie back in. I have another one on here. Actually, number 6 is also horror anthology. But this one was just fun. It was fun to watch. It was not one of those horror films where you have to, think too much. I just enjoyed it. Of course, it's heavy on the gore, but it's also funny. It's funny, it's fun. It's that very just, I mean, like I said, you're not going to sit there, expecting it to scare you, I guess, per se. You're gonna giggle a lot, but it's just one of those films that, it's a fun, you're having a Halloween party, turn it on. And, if you're just having one of those nights where you want to watch something that you really don't feel like thinking a whole lot through, but that you're going to enjoy, turn it on. It's on Netflix. Check it out. Number 6. It's called another horror anthology, A Christmas Horror Story. Honestly, how can you go wrong with William Shatner? I mean, unless you're George Takei, who hates William Shatner. I'm still convinced it's all, I don't know, publicity stunt. I mean, I don't know, do publicity stunts go on for that many decades? But anyways, come on. Bill Shatner. He is in it. He plays a radio disc jockey. And it is Christmas Eve. And I'm going to say it's 4 different stories, I believe. And then his is the one that all 4 stories are based around. It's a holiday horror, so it's all Christmas-based stuff. So, of course, you're going to have, you got everything from zombie elves to, this jacked up, Commando-style Saint Nick battling Krampus. everything. I mean, so of course Krampus has got to be there. It's a Halloween horror, so Krampus has got to be there. It makes it my two favorite holidays. I love Christmas, but I love Halloween more. So it was fun for me to watch because I'm watching, you know, my two favorite holidays, just kind of duking it out, and it's actually really well done. And it's got a really fucked up twist. Really, really just, I mean, and they hit you with it all at once, and you're like, oh shit. And it's hints are made throughout the film of what's going to surpass. But it was definitely, I'm really glad my husband and I sat down and watched it, and we were both not expecting much. We were just like, whatever, you know, let's watch it. And we were hooked. It was good. It was really good. So A Christmas Horror Story, that's my number 6. All right, number 5. This one I actually saw going on, sitting there, you know, on the list of movies to watch for the longest time. And for one reason or another, I never watched it. I was like, I don't know. You know, I read the synopsis. The synopsis sounded okay, but I would always click past it. Finally, I decided to give it a chance, and I'm glad I did. This one's called Mind Games. Mine, M-I-N-E, not mind, but it's a play on words, as you'll find out watching the film. It starts off like pretty much every film that the Evil Dead kind of inspired. A group of friends going to a cabin in the woods. Another movie that I will do an entire episode on because I love Cabin in the Woods. Anyways, another episode. But Joss Whedon, we love you. We as in I, as in me and all my personalities. But again, another episode. Just, you know, it starts off friends going, you know, they go to the creepy gas station. They do that whole number, that whole la-di-da. But it quickly, very quickly, changes to something completely unexpected, which is cool. They're trying to, you know, you're trying to decide if it's all in this one, basically the main, I don't call him the main character because it is an ensemble cast, but he's kind of the one that a lot of the things happen around. My dog is drinking very loudly. I apologize. It sounds disgusting. But anyway, Ellie, honey, out of the kitchen. Or not. Anyway, you're trying to decide if it's all happening in this character's head or if it's really happening. It gets a little confusing there for a while, which I think is kind of the point of the film. I think it's kind of supposed to get confusing. Let me see. I wrote down notes because for me to remember what I wanted to say about 8 different films, so I had to jot down some notes. I do, okay. Oh, well, okay, I do, the one only drawback, was that I did feel like a few of the characters kind of were throwaway characters, but, you know, that may kind of, again, this is one of those films where you can kind of afford to have throwaway characters. I don't really think they needed to be developed that much because their purpose was to be killed anyways. That said, definitely check this film out, and you decide. I mean, it's the way it ends, the very last frame. You're like, shit. I mean, because hold please, Ellie, honey, please stop scratching. Please stop, just for a minute. Just for a minute. Thank you. I live in a zoo. I encourage you to check out the film. Decide for yourself. Decide where you think it's going or what you think happened. I still haven't I have my ideas. But I mean, I partly want to say it was all in the guy's head, but at the same time, I mean, it's so, like, other dimensionally kind of, it blurs a lot of lines. So again, that is the film Mind Games. Check it out. It is much better than I had anticipated. Number 4 on my list is called The Watcher. Now, this was actually a film that was on Lifetime, apparently. I was really surprised after... Of course, Lifetime's had a couple of really decent horror films. I've watched a few, admittedly. But This one was apparently on Lifetime at one point, but it is loosely based on a 2015 New Jersey case where this person was actually terrorizing this family, leaving them notes, leaving creepy stuff, completely terrorizing this family until they moved out of the house. And I mean, like, every family lived in this house. This person, they never, from what I gather, they've still never identified who the individual was, but whoever it was, they would just terrorize these families to the point that they couldn't handle it anymore. They were terrified for their lives, and so they move. And I mean, this is like a $1.5 million house, so, you know, it's quite an investment for you just to be like, okay, you know what, I'll even. I think it's the realtor. I think there's a realtor out there who's like, I'm just gonna scare the hell out of these people, and I'm gonna put on a wig and pretend to be somebody else. I'm gonna sell this house again. Yeah, probably not, but that would be pretty funny. Anyway, this is another one that's now it's loosely based on that case. This is not the exact story. It's this follows a young couple who move into an old fixer-upper in California, and everything that kind of happens after that. It's the way the film starts off is the previous owners, and the woman has been driven mad to the point that she kills herself. And what the assumption is that the house is just driving these people to kill themselves. We find out later, this film actually, you know, it's not a supernatural situation. It is a people situation. Hate to spoil that for you, but I try not to spoil things, but this one, but that's not even the major twist. The major twist you're going to find out in, like, literally the last 10 minutes of this film. I started kind of having my assumptions about who the real culprit was, but I was like, no, there's no way. But it was. I'm not going to tell you who. I'm not going to tell you how they find out. But, yeah. This one's definitely another one with a really crazy twist at the end. It's called The Watcher, and it is still streaming on Netflix. Number 3. This is the film that kind of started my journey into, hey, Netflix might have some pretty damn good horror films that, you know, were never box office films. Never went to theaters and everything. This one is called, the reason it's number 3 is because number 2 and number 1 just blew me away. Otherwise, this would have been number 1. It's called Last Shift. This one, wow, it just, it's all I can say. Wow, it was awesome. It's shot almost entirely in one location. It takes place, it's the last night of this specific police station. They've built a new fancy state-of-the-art police station, but they're still, the phone lines haven't been completely transferred, so they're still taking calls at that station. Well, a young female rookie police officer, it's her first shift, and she's been assigned to hold down the fort, basically, there at that station for its last night. So it's the last shift at that station. And it kind of pulls in that classic urban legend of a phone call from beyond the grave, and that's what kind of sets everything into motion. They play a little bit on the Manson family in this one too, but it's done very well. It's another one where you wonder at the end of the film, was all this I'll put the right password in. Was all of this in the main character's head? Was all this really happening? And because the very end, it's a very final end. We'll leave it at that. But you know, you're kind of left with, okay, so was she just hallucinating the entire time, or did the spirits create this situation in order for it to end in the way it did? Definitely check that film out. I had to, because I didn't think it was still on, I had to search for it. But it is still streaming on Netflix. And again, that's called Last Shift. Definitely check that film out. And it's definitely one, it's got those creepy tones to it. It'll mess you up for a little bit. But it's well worth it. So check that one out. That's again The Last Shift. Number two was another one I read the synopsis for, and I really didn't expect much from it. You know, it was one of those, hey, abandoned mental hospital, haunted, you know, guards, and you're like, okay, it's been done to death. Not like this. This film is called The Abandoned. It's another one I had to make sure, because I didn't see it when I was scrolling through. It is still streaming on Netflix. It's called The Abandoned. This film, you know, it had to take a really good film to knock Last Shift into the number 3 spot. This film is that film. It's just, it's, the whole premise is, this new guard, she's been hired to work with, the veteran guard, sitting in the control room of this old abandoned mental hospital, children's hospital. It was an asylum type situation. Orphans there and whatnot. You know, basically how they used to do it. The orphans, the poor, the what they considered the insane, the idiots of society, as their words, obviously not mine, as a mother of an autistic child, and somebody who is on medication for depression. I do not think we are idiots, but they used to. Anyways, but I digress. So I think it's every couple of hours, they have to go out on a patrol, and they have the walkie-talkie and this, that, and the other. They discover that there is a hidden room that is actually not on the map that they have of the facility. And then for her, it kind of becomes this quest, and she's being pulled toward this part of the hospital by these spirits. The twist at the end of this one, like I said, y'all are gonna find I love twists. I love being surprised, because being somebody who's a writer who generally figures things out in films pretty quickly, if a film can completely catch me off guard, then it goes to the top, right to the top of my list. And this one, the twist in this one, and this one has a very similar twist from the film that was my honorable mention, The Ward, my film number 8. They both have a very similar twist with them. That's all I'm going to say, because I definitely don't want to ruin this one for you, because I want you to get to have the same reaction that I had when I was like, no fucking way. Shit. Yeah, so, you know, that one it was such an awesome diamond in the rough to find. And again, that one's called The Abandoned. That's my number 2. My number 1 pick is Housebound. This is actually a 2014 film out of New Zealand. So of course I was jazzed about the accents to begin with. But it starts out really creepy. You think it's going to be a really heavy, scary film. But then you there's little comedic quips and whatnot. The humor, the way they mixed humor into this film was, I think, part of why I enjoyed it so much. But also because it's another one of those where you think one thing, but then it turns out to be something entirely different. But it's quirky and it's fun. It's a quirky, fun, scary film. They perfectly mixed the horror in with a bit of kind of lighthearted, ha-ha stuff. The very last scene of the film, I die every time. Like, I'm laughing, like, freaking tears and snot laughing. That was my first reaction to the first time I saw the last scene of this film. You don't often hear that about a horror film unless it's because it was so poorly done. This one was actually so well done that the last scene is actually funny and fun, and it's another twist. I don't want to say what film it's reminiscent of, because then that just gives everything away. But it's so I'm not going to. But you'll after you watch it, you'll be like, oh, that's kind of like this movie, except for that it's not, because it's not a bad guy, or you'll understand when you see it. You have to watch this movie. It's like I said at the beginning, you feel like it's really, ooh, and this woman can't get away from the house because she's she tried to rob an ATM. It didn't go very well for her. And so then she is with an ankle bracelet, cannot leave her parents' home. So she has to go back to mom and dad's house and can't leave her parents' home for, whatever, 90 days or something while she's, dealing with the court proceedings and whatnot. New Zealand law. I don't know how New Zealand works, but, excuse me. So, yeah, so she can't leave the house, and every time she gets away, the police officer who's assigned to everything shows up, and he becomes he's a lovable character. You're going to really enjoy him. He's the comedy initially starts with him. And but yeah, just if you haven't seen Housebound yet, and I heard good things about it, I just haven't gotten a chance to sit down and watch it. When I did, I was so glad. My poor husband, he's like laying there asleep, and like I'm like going between like, oh my god, to like laughing boisterously. And yeah, I guess he didn't have the same great experience for the film as I did, but he doesn't do scary movies, actually. I am a horror buff who is married to a man who actually left fingernail prints in my hand when we watched Insidious. I love this man to death, but he doesn't do roller coasters or horror. Doesn't like ladders very much. Spiders, forget about it. So I'm kind of married to a fraidy cat, but that's okay, because I kind of like him. So, yeah, Housebound. You got to see this film. It's that good. Alright, so that was my list of the top 7 films that I think you should watch on Netflix, and a number 8 honorable mention. We'll go down those again, just so that you know what they are. Number 8 was The Ward. Definitely go look for that on Amazon. Number 7 was Tales of Halloween. Number 6, A Christmas Horror Story. Number 5, Mine Games, like Minecraft, like what my children are obsessed with. Actually, it's Roblox now. Jeez. Number 4, The Watcher. Number 3, Last Shift. Number 2, The Abandoned. And number 1, Housebound. These are the movies that you need to check out. I'm going to put them below here as well with links to each one of their IMDb pages so you can see who's in them and who made them and whatnot as well. And so, yeah. So that's tonight's episode. I apologize for the interruptions by my pets, but pets and children are pretty much, I live in a zoo, so, yeah, so definitely check those films out. I will be coming back with, either another countdown, I might do my VHS episode, honestly, since I've actually got a list. I've got, like, my next 14, between 14 and 16 episodes kind of plotted out, and that's not even including the films that I'm going to go see and review. So, you guys are definitely going to be in for some fun and very horror-heavy discussion and whatnot. And, yeah. So that right there is my list. I'll put together a list from time to time, because like I said, these are just 8 that really stood out to me, but every day they're putting new awesome stuff on Netflix. There are a few horror series that I want to check out. I'll probably do an episode on Hemlock Grove at some point. I still need to finish season 2 and watch season 3. To tell you the truth, I loved season 1. Season 2 is a little hard to get through. I heard season 3 is a stinker. But I'm going to watch it and give you guys my lowdown on that as well. I enjoy Netflix, their original content as well. I don't think any of these were Netflix originals. I'd have to double check. But, yeah. So, I hope that you guys check out these films that I listed off for you if you've not already seen them. If you have seen them, I want to know what you think of them. So either jump over to my Facebook page, Dolly Debauchery. It's the same thing as my YouTube page, Dolly Debauchery Super Creepy Horror Show. Go over there, like my Facebook page, and tell me what you think of these films, or in the comment section here, tell me which ones you've seen, what you thought of them, and try not to spoil it for everybody else. If you have a spoiler, just type spoiler there so people don't read it or whatever. But yeah, tell me what you thought of these films. If you haven't seen them, watch them. Tell me what you think. Let's really start some fun dialogue here about horror films, and maybe we can help the horror industry to continue to make good films, because that would be really nice, because we really need it. So yeah, I'll be back in a couple of days with something new for you guys. Y'all have a good night, day, whatever time of the day it is, and we will see you guys later.